Morning.
Good morning, Dr. High. Welcome in, everybody. We are officially live on TikTok and, on Facebook and YouTube. How are you today, sir? You look tired. You're all right?
Stretching, yeah. I'm all right. Doing good, thanks. Yourself?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. It's been a roller coaster of a night, but it's okay. Everything. I said it was like a roller coaster of a night, I guess. I don't know. It feels like it went very fast, but it was here. It's here. It's morning already. How are you?
I'm all right. I've been busy. I was up around 4 o'clock this morning on the computer by 5, trying to get that Etsy store open. So I think I have done that. I got some art in there now. And when we're done this today, I will be trying to get my first 40 listings in.
For Etsy?
Yeah. So.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Trying to adjust my camera. I got to move everything around right before I come in to see you. I saw you were there for a few minutes, but I didn't get a chance to grab you. I was like still.
All right.
What I did this morning is my friend Matt, Weird Matt, he'd probably be here on the Facebook page or something soon. He came on as a guest DJ with me this morning, and we did like two hours of him before our show starts, where he comes in, he picked all the songs. And then he decided to be 45 minutes late. So I give him a D+ on his grade.
D+, eh?
He didn't fail because he gave me a great list of 30 songs that he wanted to hear. And then we chilled and I chilled for the first hour by myself. But he finally woke up. But he's on the West Coast, so I'm asking a lot. That was 5 a.m. for him,
Yeah.
And then he's a party animal at nighttime, so he was on TikTok until 1 o'clock in the morning, and then he finally went to bed and got like 4 hours of sleep. And he tried to blame his wife, but I'm not gonna let he's a grown man. He needs to get up on his own.
That's right. Good morning, Lori.
Anyway,
how are you?
I'm going to try to do that once in a while, like maybe once a week, where I bring somebody in and let them DJ for the first 2 hours before our show. Let them learn what it's like. They don't have the equipment, but if they give me all the songs, I'll play their songs, whatever they want to hear.
That's it.
Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Lori. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask Dr. High. I will give you the wrong answer, and Dr. High will give you the correct answer. That's kind of our thing.
It's all fun. All fun.
She's here to learn new stuff. She's ready to learn.
What is it that she'd like to learn today? Does she have anything particular she'd like to learn today?
Good morning, CJ. If you guys are members of numerous pot groups or marijuana or medical marijuana or medicine groups, whatever you want to call them, feel free to share them out. Don't spam them and don't blow them up, because I don't want them to hate us. But if you know some people who might be interested in watching and hanging out, please feel free to share it out. We're here for everybody.
It's a good thing that Lori's not a stoner like the rest of us.
Yeah, she doesn't remember what she said.
No, but we talked about talking about terpenes today, and I totally forgot that today we were going to talk about terpenes.
It's Terpene Tuesday.
Terpene Tuesday.
And now, does that include Mira? What'd you call it? Mira. I said it earlier.
Pyracine.
Pyracine. Yeah. There you go. That's a terpene.
Yeah, that's a terpene.
Oh, by the way, when I went a little further into the investigation of those other carts.
Okay.
Ones that I didn't know if they were an RSO or if they were a distillate. They are distillates. They are both
distillate, eh?
Yeah.
Hold on for a second. I gotta find me a cable.
Cable.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the beautiful view. Look at the beautiful view today. Oh, hi, Maria. How are you, sweetie? Good to see you. Maria is the 420 Safe Haven lady. She runs the group 420 Safe Haven. She's amazing. She constantly lets me bombard.
Safe Haven, is that a recovery group?
I don't. So she's just a smoke place. I think she likes to smoke. Oh yeah, no. I think it's just a safe haven where we can go and hang out and talk about weed. It's a group. They're fantastic. She is wonderful. She always shares our stuff, and I always share. I try to always share. I've been slacking a little lately, Maria. I apologize. I've been overworked and underpaid, but I'm trying to keep up on it. It's so good to see you again, Maria. Maria runs that group, 420 Safe Haven. Everybody go join that group if you get a chance.
Right.
It is a Facebook group.
Nice.
Anyway, so Little Boxes are going to be here on Thursday. I'm excited about that.
That's going to be interesting. I want to learn how she does the water soluble stuff. Very curious how she does that at home without having some equipment. So, should be interesting.
She's also involved with that college thing.
Right.
Remember we were talking about that?
And most of the techniques that are used in processing cannabis are food industry techniques, food industry style equipment. So yeah, it's not surprising, right? The two are very closely related in some ways. So it's good. So basically terpenes, if we're going to talk about terps today, terpenes are basically what makes cannabis smell like it does. It's the aromatic compounds in the plant that bring us those smells. Some smell like pine, some have a gassy smell, some are more peppery, some are more citrusy, right? And it's those terpenes that create those different smells. But on top of the aromatic aspect of it, terpenes actually interact with our bodies also, and they promote things like anti-inflammatory properties. They can affect your mental well-being. You know what I mean? Ease anxiety, inflammation. There's a lot of things that terpenes are able to do, and when you combine them with the cannabinoids from the cannabis plant, then there's the synergistic effect that's called the entourage effect, and that's what promotes healing, right? That's where the benefit comes in with the plant. So they're pretty interesting. There's research that's ongoing about this, but it has to do mostly with your endocannabinoid system and these things. These are how the terpenes work once they're inside of you. If you want to get into the specific ones, let's start at the beginning. You have three basic components inside a cannabis plant. You have cannabinoids. So cannabinoids are what they would call phytocannabinoids, as opposed to your body has an endocannabinoid system, and your body naturally produces some cannabinoids that interact with it. But when you're introducing not artificial cannabinoids, but cannabinoids that aren't produced in our body, they're technically called phytocannabinoids that are produced inside the plant. So those are the ones that we're all familiar with as far as THC, CBD, CBG, CBN. Those are cannabinoids. Go ahead, Hippie.
Oh no! When somebody comes in and I don't want to interrupt you, I kind of just wave.
Oh, you're waving. You're waving.
Now look what you made me do. You made me hit this button.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
and then from there, you have terpenes, which you just talked about are the aromatic compounds that are found inside the cannabis plant. And then you have the flavonoids. I can't remember the definition here. Hold on, exactly. Things like quercetin and that also have medical benefits. They're responsible mostly for the pigmentation of the plant, the way the plant is colored when it grows, right? The coloring of it, whether it goes purple or greens and the oranges that you can find inside and things like that.
Is that the little hairs and the stuff, or are you talking about the actual?
Well, the little hairs are called pistils, and basically what they're there to do is to catch pollen. That's like the sex organ of the female cannabis plant, right? So it's there to catch pollen from a male in order to produce seed, because its intention obviously is to go to seed. We just prevent that by not allowing access to pollen, right?
And I'm gonna bring this back up. You said that you could move plants 2 miles away. No, 1 mile away, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers away.
Yeah, like 2 kilometers from a mile,
Still get
1.6
pregnant.
miles. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. It's really incredible how far that those pollen that pollen can travel, but it could travel
What
on
happens?
a.
I mean, pollen. Hold on, I'm sorry. Pollen is pollen, right? I mean, so like, what if your plant's sitting out there and it's catching pine tree pollen and or whatever tree pollen? You know, doesn't it
No,
catch? Doesn't that fuck
I
up
think
stuff?
it needs to be specific to it. It has to have the right DNA, the right genetic characteristics for it to spur seed development.
So
I believe.
it
I mean,
doesn't.
I don't know. It's not something I've ever looked at,
It's
but
not into interracial relationships.
I suppose not. No.
All right,
I
so
guess it'd
it's
be like a,
one race only.
yeah, it'd be like a dog and a cat, right? They couldn't breed, so
breeding, right?
nature's got its way of figuring it out. So you got terpenes, cannabinoids, and
Thank you, Lord.
flavonoids, and basically they're in descending order, right, of the percentages that they can be found in. So in marijuana and cannabis, cannabinoids have the highest percentage of prevalence, right? Like THC can be 25%, 28%, 30%, 15%. Terpenes, really high terpenes, high terpenes might be 3%. With a combination of all terpenes inside that plant, rarely reaching more than 5%. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, another wave to somebody.
Oh, okay.
Darlene, hi, Darlene. I'm not going to interrupt you anymore. I'm going to try not to interrupt you
No,
because
it's
you're
no problem. It's no problem.
filled with so much knowledge. I mean, I'm going to make my stupid comments every once in a while, but for the
No,
most
that's all
part, I'm going to let you run with it because you got so much knowledge, and these guys need to know,
Well,
and
basically,
I need to know. So,
and flavonoids is something that you don't hear discussed very often when it comes to cannabis, but they are present and they do have potential medical benefit, antioxidant properties, anti-inflammatory. There are benefits to that. I mean, the same way that dark leafy greens have benefits as far as antioxidants and dark berries and things like that, the same idea, right? Cannabis is actually very nutritious to eat. I mean, if you're a grower, it's a shame to throw away those leaves that you harvest from the plant throughout the cycle of its life.
like that big one right behind your back there.
Yeah, exactly. Those big leaves, eventually they have done their job, right? As far as
Right.
producing energy for the plant.
As
And
you're plucking them off throughout their cycle, you should be keeping them.
throwing them into your salads. Throw them right in your salad. You know what I mean? They have more nutritional value than kale.
Oh yeah, you were saying that the other day. They have more nutritional value than garnish.
Yeah. So
And so when you're eating that kale and you're starving and you're at that restaurant waiting and the food's taking forever, next time you go, make sure you bring some pot leaves and put them on your plate. I guess that's where I'm going with that.
that's it, eh?
I don't know. I don't know where I was going, but it sounds good. Well, I have a package over here, and for some reason, when we talked about terpenes, I like terrapin turtles. I have that package over here, and for some reason, something about them made me think about you when we talked about that yesterday. When I looked at them later in the day, I should really try to look at them.
Terpenes?
Yeah, like the distillate carts.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there should be some terpenes in there.
Oh yeah. I got to go put the light on though.
But there'll be a lot more terpenes in your live resin.
All right, so It's going to take a minute for these lights to kick in because they take a minute to kick on. And I got to take my glasses off so I can read. So this is the distillate, that syringe.
Yep.
All right. It's 80 THC. And then it's 0.3 something THCV. Can you hear me right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I'm gonna go right down to the terpenes. You
got to get yourself some of them glasses you see on late night TV, the magnifying ones with the lights.
Yeah, that's what I need. Yeah, you're right.
When I was trimming seriously at the licensed producer, when we were trimming, 80 pounds every 2 weeks, it's hard on the eyes to see, especially when you get older. So I used a pair of them glasses. We had a store in Edmonton that was called As Seen on TV, and they stocked all this kind of.
Yeah, we have them.
I've heard of them. So I sent the boss down there to grab some pairs of these for trimming. And they were phenomenal for that. They were the best thing since sliced bread. I loved them. Matter of fact, when I stopped working there, I took those with me.
You stole them.
How good they were. Yeah.
All right. You ready? So it says total. It's starting to get bright enough in here. The lights take a minute to light.
There you go.
Total potency, 92.21. All right. So then it says pinene.
Yep. Pinene.
Yep. 3.81.
Okay.
Then it goes on to another pinene.
Alpha pinene?
Well, the first one must have been alpha because this one says B pinene.
Oh, this is beta pinene, yeah.
And this one is 1.822.
Okay.
The myrcene is 1.4. I can't read the rest. 3.0, I think. Then there's caralafafine.
Oh, caryophyllene.
Something like that.
So, based upon that, right? Let's start with pinene, which is the highest percentage in there. So, pinene, as you might expect, has kind of a piney aroma, right? Smells like a pine tree.
Well, why don't we think about this and we'll come back after the commercial.
All right.
Okay, men. This is your time.
Sorry. I just looked. Lori made me remember that it's almost 4:20.
Almost.
It's up to you.
But I got to get a commercial
So
in.
what are you going to do? You're going to go grocery shopping. Cook, clean. Be there emotionally and physically. You got to dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't.
Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Please share it out if you have an opportunity. Take this time to share it out.
This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Da.Nica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today.
Oh, that sounds
Breaks my heart that
delightful,
this is the
Linda.
reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's me, Mississippi. check out Vern on TikTok at You Have Me Hooked. She's amazing. And everything she makes on TikTok, she sells at You Have Me Hooked 23 at Etsy. So you can watch her make it, and she'll make personalized stuff. So if you have an idea, like I would like this thing made, she can make it. She can make anything. She's an incredible artist. Check her out at You Have Me Hooked on TikTok and You Have Me Hooked 23 on Etsy.
Badger Heart Puppetry. Badger Heart Puppetry. Badger Heart Puppetry. If you need some kick-ass puppets, contact Thorge at 1-636-234-1535. He has all your puppet needs. He can fix puppets, build puppets, custom-made puppets. He has puppets off the rack for cheap prices. Contact Thorge today at 1-636-234-1535 or on TikTok or Facebook at Badger Heart Puppetry. He also makes LARPing items too.
I just want to give a huge shout out to Chuck over at Collins Painting LTD. You can find them over on Facebook. They're in Ellensville, New York. Wow, what a great team over there. Really amazing, and always supporting us here over at WTHC.
WTHC, we're back. It's the hippie here. Hi. And that's Dr. High. Hi.
Hello, everybody. Haven't had a chance to say good morning to a bunch of you yet, to Doug or Matthew. Jeff, I got your message yesterday from the website. I didn't respond yet. I was busy yesterday. By the time I saw it, it was kind of late, but I will respond to you. Kelly's here this morning. Good morning, Sean. We got a good crowd, eh, Maria?
Yeah.
Nice.
But they'll be back. Welcome in. Good morning. You're hanging with the hippie and Dr. High. We're talking medical marijuana and other things. So feel free to ask questions over there in the chat. We were talking terpenes. I can't say it.
Terpenes.
Terpenes.
Like terpenes. So you were saying, so you started off with pinene as being the main driver inside the distillate that you got, right? So it's piney. You find it a lot in strains like Jack Herer or Bubba Kush. And what you find the medical benefit can be from that is pinene is believed to have anti-inflammatory properties as well as anti-cancer properties. And it also is a bronchial dilator. So, which is very strange, and that was one of the very first real science studies I ever remember seeing, was a study that came out of the University of Michigan back in the 80s that said that cannabis was good for people with asthma. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. How can cannabis be good for somebody with asthma? It makes you cough, right? Go ahead. What did you want to know, hippie?
No, this time I'm raising my hand. When I do the wiggle, that's me. And when I do this, that's me waving. Okay. That one. Now I forgot the question. Damn it.
We're talking about asthma and bronchial dilators.
Yes, as a fat guy.
Yeah.
In a tiny coat over here, this guy.
Yeah.
He's never had asthma. Or he just neglects to take care of it. I don't know.
Asthma is a medical condition, right?
Like I've never had an issue with breathing, and I've been a weed smoker and a cigarette smoker and a vape smoker. Knock on wood. But
I think asthma. I don't think asthma is something that's created by your actions, right? I think it's something you have, and basically what asthma does is the bronchi in your lungs, which is what allows the air to transfer from what you breathe into your bloodstream. They constrict. So as they constrict, the oxygen can't pass the barrier quite as easily. So that's what asthma causes, is a constriction of the bronchi in the lungs so that the oxygen can't pass through properly. And what they found was with cannabis, some different aspects of cannabis has this bronchial dilator type action to it, right? Benefit to it. So it allows the bronchi to relax and the oxygen to pass. So that's basically what Pineate is. I think the next one you went to was Myrcene from in there.
Yeah, let's still take a second over here to shout out some people because we got some people jumping in. I want to say good morning to them. Hi, Mr. Slow. How are you? We have a question. Well, first off, Linda said this stuff that she's got right now is 92.2% THC.
Right.
82% THC. Terpenes are 1.74. Does that make sense to you? Because I got lost there. My own reading fucked me up.
What you gotta really have there, if the THCA is at 92.2, the THC at a max could be at 7.8, but that would make it 100%, and then you'd be at THCA crystal.
So maybe no, 8.
So the numbers are off just a little bit. Terpenes at 1.74% is what I would expect to see in a distillate. So that would be totally normal, but the THC percentages are off. Unless it's 82% THC, and then THCA is at 10.2%, then that would be possible to bring a total THC level to 92.2.
She wrote something, but I haven't got
both. No, it says 82. Yeah, because that would actually give it, when you combine those two aspects, you'd have 174.2% THC.
She's going to send us a pic.
Yeah, cool. I'd like to see.
She said, nah, it says 82%.
82% is totally reasonable.
That
but
makes sense.
If there's a THCA component also, it's not possible that it's 92%.
Yeah, usually THC is either really low or really high, and THC is low.
Yeah, they're the inverse of each other generally, yeah.
But yeah, that's
because
fine.
You can't have more than 100% of anything.
Anything.
Right? So
it's like what weighs more, a pound of bricks or a pound of feathers?
Yeah, you can't really have more than 100% of anything. So, but that's cool. No, I haven't.
A great number. Is that for flour? That can't be for flour, right? That's got to be for.
No, that would have to be distillate.
A cart, yeah, or a distillate.
Yeah, that would have to be a distillate. That alpha hippie had me feeling good yesterday.
Oh, well, that's good. Chris? I thought he was calling me alpha hippie.
Lori, I haven't found you on Discord yet, but that's because I haven't been on Discord yet. I've just been so focused on some other things, but I'm going to be on there in the next day or two because.
Hi, Brandy.
I need to create some art.
Yes. So, speaking of art, I was looking at some of yours yesterday. I see a couple potential WTHC forever arts.
Well, you know what I'm going to do with this art, right? I'm putting it on Etsy, and it's a download. Now, what I've done is I've resized everything in its proper aspect ratio, right? I create it in a certain aspect ratio. So to create a square or a rectangle, or, there are different aspect ratios, right? 1:1, 2:3, 3:2, 4:3, 4:5, all these different ones. So when I create the images, I create them in an aspect ratio. And then I take that image and I use another artificial intelligence program to, bless you, to upscale it so that when you print the image, it has a really nice, clear resolution, sharp edges, like great detail. And then I create the file from that. So on Etsy, you can buy it as a digital download. So you can buy the file. Let's say you buy a file that's 20 inches by 20 inches. So when you print that, you'll have a perfect image at 20 inches by 20 inches. But if you only want something that's 12 by 12, you can print it at 12 by 12 or 16 by 16. So as long as the aspect ratio stays 1:1, all the way down the line, you'll have a beautiful, perfect image. So you take that digital download to Walmart or one of the pharmacies that you can get your pictures printed at. You have it printed there. You buy a picture frame. You hang it. The whole thing's on your wall. It costs you maybe $15 for a nice piece of art. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
really not. It's a digital downloads that sell them for $2.50. That's it. Nothing to it. So you can actually buy them for that kind of money, which is all right. But they're guaranteed to be really good when they're blown up. So, and there's different aspect ratios. But that's why I need to get back to Discord to put in some more time on Midjourney. Sorry, we're stoned. Are you still there?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm reading. Linda sent me a picture, and I'm trying to read the picture.
Oh, you're trying to decipher the.
So it says it does. It says I mean it does. It's confusing. It says total 93.8%. Then it says,
THC.
no, total.
Well,
THCA is 93.5. And then terpenes are 1.74.
And does it show what the THC is?
No, it just says total.
Okay. So that makes total sense. That's probably live resin, not distillate.
It's citrus slurricane.
Slurricane?
Citrus slurricane, number 10.
I used to grow slurricane at the at Freedom, so I'm familiar with that strain. Beautiful strain.
Okay, well, sorry, the big guy had to get his head in the way over here. I apologize.
That makes sense. 93% THCA, live resin concentrate, first press, probably from dry sift or hash, first run hash. So
thank you for the picture. It's a beautiful, beautiful picture.
Yeah, thanks for that.
You didn't have to give me the boob shot, but I appreciate it. I'm just kidding. Oh,
that's funny. That's funny.
So I still have some more terpenes in here.
Yeah.
And then I got the limonene and that caryophyllene.
So limonene, that's your citrusy terpene. Lemons.
Now this is the stuff that I ate yesterday. Now I'm going to tell you something.
Did you eat the distillate yesterday?
I did.
What happened?
I ate a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know?
Could this have triggered a mania?
What do you mean a mania?
I felt happy, very happy. At some points, a little too happy. May have gotten a little rude a couple times.
Being happy makes you rude?
Well, being happy makes me say jokes that aren't quite as funny sometimes to some people.
Oh, okay.
May sound a little offensive sometimes, you know.
Okay.
You know, I go a little too far.
Say, hippie, fuck them if they can't take a joke.
Well, yeah, no, I don't give a fuck. But.
Two people weed eating, one person lawn mowing right across me. They don't know I'm listening to a show. Okay.
Yes, I was very playful. Yeah, I was very playful. But I didn't do a very good dose either. I started to try to do it. I was going to put it on a cracker. I had just eaten some crackers and some egg salad. And then I just said, fuck it. I ate the cracker because the shit was already pissing me off, coming out like a big old booger. And so I just fucking said, when I squirted a little dab into my mouth, I held it in my mouth for a while under my tongue. I squished it around with some juice for a while. I held it for 5 or 6 minutes. And then I said, and I swallowed all that spat down. And a couple hours later, I was feeling no pain.
That's good. That's the objective.
Well, I don't know, but I was also smoking my 2 carts and taking bong hits. And
but I mean,
overall, I felt great. I had a great day.
Isn't that the purpose of medication?
I may have lost a couple friends, but
well, that's not the purpose. But
well,
you're feeling good.
Some of them came back this morning. I apologize.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You only sent them out for the
It's
night.
it's all jokes and kidding. I love you all. It's just sometimes I go a little too far.
No.
My jokes go a little too far. Nothing harmful or bad. They're just,
Comes out that way.
They just come out that way. They just sound harmful.
It's fun, right? Guys are different.
I'm having fun.
Men when they talk to each other can be more offensive without actually offending.
Right.
Men,
like look at the size of your
right?
tits over there, bucko.
Yeah, like it's a totally different interaction. Like guys can take this kind of tough ribbing differently than women take it. So you know what I mean? They joke differently. So I guess I can see where natural.
It's starting to come back to me, some of the stuff that I did now. All right. So yesterday, our good friend Phoenix, and shout out to my friend Phoenix. I love you, buddy. I hope you're feeling better. He drives like one of them little carts. He lives up in Canada by you, actually, in Ontario, I think.
What, like a golf cart?
No, more like a handy, like a wheelchair.
Oh, okay.
But a good one that goes like 60, 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, I've seen those around.
Yeah, well, he got one, and he was on his way. He wasn't feeling good. I'm doing it. I'm doing it, Lori. Anyway, so he's on his way to the hospital yesterday because he wasn't feeling well. And we were driving down the road, and he's got his phone hooked up to the front of his cart. And he's driving us, and we're chilling, and we're in the back room. And I say, don't worry, I got you, Phoenix. I am going to be the ambulance. And then I just start going for like 20 minutes. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Get out of the way, get out of the way. And I'm yelling at the people on the road as he's flying down the road going to the hospital. Well, Lori didn't like the fact that I kept going, wee woo, wee woo.
Right.
So then she got very mad at me and she left, and then she came back and I was still doing wee woo. And I said, what, you don't like that song? I can do the British one.
Well, I gotta tell you, I'd have to agree with Lori on that one.
Yes,
that would be an annoying sound to have to listen to for very long.
Yes, but Lori was antagonizing me because everybody else was laughing at Lori and her anger. So, then I have to keep going because just because one person is sad doesn't mean the rest of the crowd isn't laughing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't picking on Lori. I love Lori, but I was helping Phoenix. The most important thing was that Phoenix made it to the hospital safely. We crossed major roads. Thank God I was making those noises. You never know. A poor car would have come and run his ass over. She said, I sound like my 4-year-old grandson. All right. Think about poor Mrs. Hippie. She has to deal with this on a regular, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
All right. Yes, it was a good time. But Lori,
how was Jeff feeling today? Did Jeff try a bigger dose of RSO yesterday? Did he get to try a bigger dose to see if
I don't know, Jeffrey?
He's out there. I saw him.
Oh yeah, no, he was here a couple. But people jump in and jump out.
No, they don't.
Oh, they stay the whole time.
The whole time.
You obviously don't look at that little number up there.
I don't see any number.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, I don't see any number anywhere.
Well, all right. Well, that's
I don't
good.
worry about it.
That's a good thing.
So
we have a lot of people here. It's been great.
You were talking about limonene.
Yes, limonene was my next, but we can get off of that. I mean, unless people have more questions about terpenes, terpenes.
Oh. Terpenes.
I can't say it, but I also say Earl and Winder and Roof.
Winder. What's these two people?
Go change
eating. There are people. One person's mowing the lawn while the other people eat weed. That's what Lori's saying. That sounds like a pretty good neighborhood. I want to work for that landscaping company.
No, Lori, the terpenes really don't have very much to do with your high at all, sweetie. The terpenes
They do. They have
are
a
your
lot to do with your
See, I give the wrong answers, and then
eye. So
terpenes are just the flavor.
terpenes are the shape. They're the direction of the high. THC, if we're talking about psychological aspect, THC percentage can determine the level of high, how stoned you get. Terpenes determine what kind of stoned you get. Do you get an energetic high that keeps you going, makes your mind creative, makes you think, makes you talkative, makes you want to do? Do you get a high that gives you the munchies? Do you get a high that makes you feel more sedated? Do you get a high that reduces your anxiety? Yeah, go ahead, Hippie. What do you need to know?
Is there a terpene-free weed, like gluten-free cookies?
No,
You don't get there's no such thing as like a terpene-free. Okay.
No. You can destroy terpenes.
I probably do that quite often by over firing them, right? Or burning them.
Over time, terpenes are lost.
I got
naturally, right? Like the smell of anything, like the smell of fresh weed in the bag. If you leave that bag for 2 years sitting in a closet, you go back 2 years later and open it, now it's probably going to smell more like hay, right? Or straw.
Why would you do that in the first place?
The terpenes can be lost because terpenes are much more volatile compounds. So they start being lost at much lower temperatures. Like at 100 degrees, you're starting to lose terpenes, right?
Right.
And
so
fire, the temperature, fire, but heat in other ways too. Like if you have your bag of weed in the console in the car, that heat can destroy terpenes, right? When you're dabbing, if you dab at too high of a temperature, you're destroying terpenes.
I do that all the time, sir, until just recently when you
and that's why you weren't enjoying the flavor, because you weren't tasting the terps.
Right. You correct me recently, and now my dabs have flavor again. I didn't understand why they had flavor in the beginning when I first started, because I was nervous, I think, and I would always be very careful about doing it because I really didn't know what I was doing. Then once I started to become a professional, I was like, oh, I got this shit. Turn the flame on. Get that shit nice and cherry red hot. Oh, yeah. But no flavor at all. No taste at all. It just tasted like crap.
Unless you've learned to dab from somebody who has experience dabbing, what you did is what everybody does. It's what I did. I stopped. When I first started dabbing, I dabbed with a titanium nail, just like you have. I used to heat it up till it was super hot like that, because that's how you got the old oil off, right? You burned off the old oil, and then it would look like a rainbow color on that thing. And then you'd do your dabs on there, and that's where I started. And then I heard that the titanium nails weren't that great because they could release certain particles when you heated them. And I could never get them really clean, so they weren't having the perfect flavor every time. So I switched to a ceramic nail, and I started using a ceramic one. But the problem with ceramic is that the rate of expansion when you heat it changes depending on where the heat is. So you have to be very careful. Go ahead, Hippie. What would you like to know?
The glass ones, are they any good? The glass nails?
Well, that's what I'm going to get to. That's where you want to be, right? You want to be at quartz. So the ceramic ones, you couldn't, if you didn't heat them evenly, like really work your torch all the way around and pay attention to it, they would crack. They'd get a crack in them. And then once they were cracked, they were no good anymore.
Especially if you heat it in the same spot every time. If you hold your hand and you hold it the same way, I remember,
Exactly. So what you really want is a quartz nail. Glass or quartz. It's a bucket, right? Comes up, it's a little bucket. And you want to get one that's 4 millimeters thick. So a 4 millimeter quartz bucket. That's exactly what you'd want to look for when you went to the store, what you'd want to ask the person for. And the beautiful thing with a quartz bucket is if you low temperature dab, like you should be, two things happen. You'll have a little bit of pour off when you finish your dab, some oil that's left in the nail that you can pour into a safe container, silicone or glass.
We call it reclaim in America.
Yeah, it's reclaim. Yep, same idea. And you can hold on to that. The quality is fantastic. The oil's still good. Everything is good.
I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna say better. Sometimes better.
Yeah.
I like
flavor wise, absolutely
better than the regular shit.
I found the flavor is really much better.
Better high, and the flavors can be better. They can be bad if you overheat your nail. But yeah.
Well, if you overheat your nail, there's no reclaim.
No, but I mean, when you overheat, if you're using the reclaim and you accidentally overheat your nail, that'll happen once in a while where you're not paying attention and you just
absolutely,
you're baked out of your mind and you're like, let me heat up another nail and take another hit, and then you don't even realize the shit's glowing red and you put it in there and you're like, fuck. Yeah. You taste it, and you can taste the difference.
Well, that's it. And when you dab, you want to have a clean surface every time. So the beauty of a quartz nail is you can use Q-tips, and you got to use real Q-tips because you want to have them to be cotton with a cardboard shaft. You don't want any plastic at all in that. You want 100% cotton because that'll withstand the heat inside that nail. It won't melt. So after you're done your dab, if you had any reclaim, you poured it off. You use the cotton swab. You swab out the nail. You clean it all up again. The next time when you reheat it, you don't have to reheat it very much because as you start to reheat it, you'll see no oil. And as you warm it up, you'll see the inside of that glass start to get a little bit of a brown color on it where the residual oil is still on the wall and at the bottom of the bucket. And you only have to heat that nail enough until it goes clear again and your temperature is good and you're ready for your next dab. And it's a brand new flavor every time. Good quality, rinse and repeat. Your nails last you a very long time, and it's the perfect scenario and the best way to go. Yep.
I'm going to go back to that whole thing, though. I mean, like, who wants to do all that? I mean, I agree. I guess if you're just sitting around and you're in the house and you got time to sit back and relax, but who has that time every day, 24 hours, where, I mean, some people, I guess, do. Patience, maybe more, I'm a patient, but I mean, I'm constant. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to clean my dab every time. And, so my nectar collector is filthy. It's got a big crack in the side of it. And I got duct tape around that shit. And you know what I'm saying? And the nectar doesn't even collect well because it comes out the hole in the side of it. Oh,
well,
I just want to get high and
when
not
it comes to
do all this work.
I'm a bit of a purist, and when it comes to most things, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I like to optimize everything to its ideal circumstance, and what you do from there is what you do from there, right? What I'm describing is really the ideal way to do things. But if you're in a rush, you're in a rush. If you don't want to take the time to do it, you don't want to take the time to do it. I mean, to each his own, right? It doesn't really matter. I can't describe a methodology to you that's less than correct.
Right. No. And I'm saying I'm learning. And so, I mean, these are all things that I'm learning right now. Like, I didn't realize I had to do all that shit. I had to clean it all the time and take care of it. Like, my nail has been in there for 2 years now, and I've been smoking. I ain't never done. I mean, I light it, and if a flame comes off, then I guess I went too long on the last dab. So I let that burn off for a second, and the flame gets bigger, and I'm a little pissed off because that's a little less dab that I just could have had because I was in there too long on the last one. That doesn't happen too often, but once in a while.
Sure.
Because I usually try to pull out before, I'm a good, my pull-out game is good. So anyway, then I, and then I just put it down, and then, when I'm ready, and I use the same glass dish every time because I get like these dabs, they come in this tiny little jar. I got to use like the old cocaine jar, and you have to like scrape the shit out and you like lose half of it inside the jar because they're just jerks and they can't give it to you any way better than that. I would rather it be on parchment paper than in these little jars they give it to me now.
Just put it in the fridge for a little while. When you get down to the bottom like that, put it in the fridge for a little while, and then it'll solidify and it's easier to scrape up.
For fuck's sake. See? You're such a genius.
I just done it all. That's
This is-
the only difference. This is my life. This is what I love.
Somebody said it over there. I think it was Lori, Crazy Lori. Holy shit, Crazy Lori, right about something. She said they put theirs in the freezer, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, if there are times that I have bought a lot at one time, right? Because it was a good deal, because it was a good manufacturer, and they had a lot of different strains available.
Yes. Those are
whatever.
the guys I need to find. A lot at a good time.
Yeah, and plus I made I don't even know, like I made 100,000 vape pens minimum, and each one of those had about a 0.8 of a gram in them, and then God only knows how much shatter I processed for other people. But as the manufacturer, there were residuals that I kept for myself. Sheets and sheets and sheets. I might, off every run, I might pull 20 grams, 30 grams, 40 grams of scrape at the bottom, which wouldn't be a perfect customer product, but was a perfectly fine product. So those slabs would be mine. I would vacuum seal them, and I would keep them in the freezer. And I mean, to this day, I haven't worked a closed loop system in 4 years, and I still have shatter from the shatter I used to make frozen years later.
And if you freeze it, it has a forever lifetime, or no?
Especially if you vacuum seal it and freeze it, yeah. Concentrates? Absolutely.
Freeze it, it'll have a lifetime forever.
Yeah. That's the way to store it if it's long-term storage and it's a concentrate. The freezer is ideal. You take away the oxygen, even if it's in a little glass jar and you want to freeze glass jars, then vacuum seal those glass jars into the pouch and then freeze them. It's worth the effort.
Right.
So,
All right.
you know what I mean? If you're looking at long-term storage, most people don't require that sort of thing, but you just never know, right? You come across a guy who's got a mason jar full of distillate at the right price, then it's interesting.
Where is that guy?
Oh, I know them.
Oh,
Yeah.
I will shout out their company every day.
Well, a baby food jar is like I think it's about 70 grams.
And how much is that?
Jar.
Roughly. You don't have to give me exact prices, but are we talking thousands of dollars? Are we talking hundreds of dollars? Are we talking
For something like that, you'd probably be talking about let's figure about $12 a gram. So maybe 1,000, yeah.
But how long would that last? Oh.
Depends how you use it.
Well, see, that's where I see those guys with the, like you, where you say you have sheets of it put away or whatever. Yep. Where these guys take full sheets and they're just dropping them into their.
Yeah, you see that on YouTube.
I'm like, why?
Yeah, I've seen that on YouTube. Like most sheets, like in my ovens, because it's a process, right? You have to remove the.
All right. Well, hold on. Let's do a commercial. We'll talk about your ovens when we come back. You're listening to Hippie and DoktorHigh. Thank you guys for being here. We love you. We'll be right back. Everybody out there on Live 365 and tune in. Thank you so much for being here.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Ooh.
Today, I'm going to help parents relate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Say bye-bye to bottled water. Holistic Health Water has certified medical-grade water ionizers that make 7 types of water, including healthy alkaline. There's a 5-micron filter that lasts up to a year, and each machine lasts 25 to 30 years. Simply attach to your faucet or install under your sink. Even get a mineral spa unit for your shower. Go to ownyourwater.org to get a free ebook. Plus, pay for any machine in full and get an extra filter free. Change your water and change your life. Ownyourwater.org.
Hey, hippie, look at this beautiful crystal sphere I got from Bella's Badass Crystals.
Look at this big vagina I got.
OMG, hippie.
It doubles as a worry stone.
Bella's Badass Crystals is on the top of the mountain in Dauphin, PA.
You can also check out their sales. They have mini Mondays and twice-a-day Tuesdays.
Find Bella's Badass Crystals on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
They are badass.
WTHC, we're back. It's the hippie hanging here with my main man, Dr.High. How are you guys? Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody out here on YouTube and Facebook. Please subscribe, share, like, do whatever those things you're supposed to do. I don't really even know the rules over here. I appreciate thank you, Brandy. She likes they're out of vaginas, by the way, Bella's Badass Crystals. They have sold out of all their large and small vaginas. You're going to have to wait till to pick up a vagina if you want a worry stone vagina. I have mine, so I'm not really worried about it, but right back at you, sir. What's going on? How are you, Dr. High? We got about another hour left. What do we want to talk about?
Well, we're just about to talk about the ovens. I was just going to say, because you were talking about the guys putting sheets in, right?
Big sheets, yes.
So in the degassing ovens, I had 4 trays in most of them, and I had one that held 6. And each tray, properly poured, would be 120 grams. 130 grams per sheet pan, right, for degassing. And and I used to run 3 ovens like that on the regular, always on the go, full.
8 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day,
24 hours a day.
You had somebody working all around the clock. You had shifts.
No, there's no need. Basically, when you make shatter with hydrocarbon, butane, or propane, which is how you make shatter. Because butane and propane at room temperature are gases, not liquids, we do it under pressure, so it remains a liquid through the process. Now, once it's exposed to air, it comes to room temperature, it goes back to being in a gas form. So we used a series of warm water and recapturing pumps to turn that gas back into a liquid in the tank, so we could reuse it over and over again, right? But you'd still leave a certain percentage of it inside the extraction. So that had to be removed because nobody wants to smoke butane or propane. And in order to do that, you needed to use a degassing oven that removed the gas on a molecular level. So that was done by creating a full vacuum inside this oven. And what it would do, and if you've ever seen shatter, it's got the little holes in it where it looks like there are little bubbles that have popped. Well, each one of those little holes was a little pocket of butane gas that was pulled out through a degassing oven, right? So they need to sit for a minimum of 48 hours in that process. And I knew some guys who used to like to run them for 3 and 4 days. up to 96 hours to remove it. And you do it very carefully, temperature controlled, right? And that's interesting.
That is very interesting. And I have a question. No, not waving question.
Yeah.
So I've heard of these people who have their own machines, not quite as big as you're talking about, but the presses at home that do this stuff on their own. Tell us about that.
So that's rosin.
That's smaller versions, or is that how you make?
It's a different form of extraction. So when we're talking about shatter, then we're talking about extraction using solvent like alcohol or butane or propane or hexane. So that's a solvent method. Now, when we talk about rosin, we're talking about solventless. No solvent is used in the manufacture of rosin, the same as no solvent is used in the manufacture of hash. Okay, so when you make rosin, basically what you're using is a combination of heat and pressure to liquefy the oils inside the plant, the THC, the CBD, the terpenes, the flavonoids, everything. So basically what you do is when you first start off doing it at home, you wouldn't probably buy the bags because there's a great deal of loss that happens inside them. So you can pack these screen bags, right, with a certain micron size weave to it. And then you press that between sheets of parchment paper. I used to use a 10-ton press. My very first one I used to keep on my bedside table in my bedroom was a 2-ton press. It cost me $400. I know you can get them on Amazon pretty cheap now. And I had 2 5-inch plates that were independently temperature controlled. So when you're making rosin, you want to set your temperature to around 220 degrees. You put your weed between 2 pieces of parchment paper, not wax paper, must be baker's parchment. And then you close the heating plates together and press. So on the 2-ton press, once you went past a certain point, it was 2 tons. With the other press,
would it lock in at 2 tons?
Right? And you let it sit. It's like pressing it between two irons, basically.
Right. It's like a shirt press or something. What you would put
like a t-shirt press idea. Yeah, exactly. So you let it sit at this 200, 220 degree. You got to play around. Different strains seem to react differently, but they're within degrees of each other, right? You can do it at different temperatures, but for a really good extraction, about 220 degrees and about 3 minutes. And when the time is up, you open up the press and you'll find a dark circle of cannabis, and around it will have a ring of beautiful oil, beautiful golden oil. And you just take a dab tool and simply pick it up off the parchment paper, roll it, it'll stick into a ball.
Immediately, or do you let it sit?
No, it'll pick it up pretty quick because it cools fast, right? It's thin. And that's how you get it up off the thing. Now, if you're extracting for real.
What do you do? No, well, we'll stop there for a second because I might have the opportunity to get myself one of them little
rosin press.
Yeah. I mean, what does it do for me then? Is that something I would dab then? Or is that a...
Yep. You dab it.
Or do I have to go further from there to make it into better stuff?
No, it's ready to go. Now, you could prepare that.
Decarbolized or whatever, decarboxylized.
No. Yeah, at this point, a percentage is decarboxylated, but because it's such a short period of time at a low temperature, you don't have a great deal of conversion yet. So it's still a lot of THCA. You know what I mean? The THC percentage does go up because there is some heat applied over a period of time, but the highest portion, if you're doing especially live resin, would be still your THCA.
Right. And then we go back to that loophole, THCA.
Right. But you can't, it's very hard for you to control it. And under that process, the chances of you hitting the number that's legal under the Farm Act are pretty small.
Gotcha.
So,
All right. So when I got that machine, say I get this machine in Imaginary Land, and I think the plates were fairly small, if I remember correctly. They were
Yeah.
like maybe 5x5, a little
5x5 is ideal for your own personal use.
Yeah, I think it was for a personal use kind of machine, and I think I can get it for a fairly good price. I know somebody who has one that might be interested in getting rid of it. Should I pick one up?
If you're dedicated enough to it, the one thing about
are
rosin,
the benefits? I don't like wasting flour, so that's gonna hurt me when I look at that.
you're going to feel the pain.
Yeah, when
You're
I look
gonna
at that
feel the
bad
pain.
flour, I'm gonna be like, oh.
See, theoretically, whatever the percentage of THC is in the plant should be what you can pull back out of your.
I was just going to ask you that. So say I buy a bag of some dirty ass shady shag off the street, $100 ounce.
Yeah.
All right. And I use that. Is it worth it to do that? Or is it better to go to the dispensary and pay $400?
It depends on the weed. And with the prices that you pay over there, I hesitate to say it's a good idea for you. Because
now, if they pass the law here and they say I'm allowed to start growing,
well, let's put it this way.
Let's
put it this way, okay? Let's think about 10 grams of weed. If you have 10 grams of cannabis, and that cannabis is 20% THC, the most you can get back from pressing it into rosin is 2 grams. So 2 grams would be your maximum return. However, you most likely won't get the full 2 grams because some of that will remain trapped in the bud that you've squeezed. Some of it may not convert over that 2-minute period of time.
Appropriately, might not come off the paper.
So if you think about the cost of that 10 grams of weed, then you think about what the value is of that, let's say 1.5 grams now of rosin you get back. Is the value there for you?
What if I took that rosin now and I put it on some bud that I'm about to smoke in my bowl?
Pretty expensive, but tastes really good. See, rosin is about flavor, and it's also about the preservation of the elements of the plant, right? Terpenes and
can rosin be considered shatter? Can somebody or some sort of a batter or a butter? I mean, for somebody who doesn't know, say this person that I might get this machine from brought up some stuff and they called it dabs and they sold it to me. I wouldn't know the difference. I mean, would it?
Well, dabs are anything you could smoke in a dab rig.
Okay, so rosin is something that you can smoke in a dab rig.
Butter. Yep, can be shatter, could be butter, could be rosin, could be full melt hash, could be
because I may or may not have made some purchases. This is all imaginary, of course, in my state, but I may or may not have made some purchases of some stuff that she made at home.
Yeah,
and it was good. I have no complaints. I mean, it wasn't dispensary quality, I would say. I could taste the difference. Maybe the terpenes weren't there as much.
It depends.
It did what it did for the head. Like I definitely got a buzz off of them, but they weren't the most flavorful thing. But I could have been overheating it.
See, the thing with shatter is if you're not paying attention, or if you're not involved with it enough to understand the difference, there are multiple kinds of shatter you can make, but it doesn't have to do with the process. It has to do with the starting material. Now, you can make shatter from trim. So not your big fan leaves, but all that stuff that gets cut off with the scissors or
second and third round of cutting. Not
all that stuff that's fairly close to the butt. Now you can turn that into shatter. And that shatter will look like any other shatter. to somebody who doesn't have the eye for what's happening. And
Would
you can make shatter from
Would you
bud.
be able to tell the difference from
Yeah,
a
I can tell. I can tell to a point, and
from
only
a pure? I
and
guess.
only and nobody could take it to 100% because there are other factors that affect what we would be using to judge the quality of the hash, such as time of the harvest, conditions in which the shatter was made, what the room was like, how humid it was, not humid, because it's all about colors, right? And now guys can even do stuff they call color remediation, where they add another process into the extraction that remediates the color of the shatter to make it lighter, because everybody's under the impression that shatter should be super pale, very light yellow gold. But some shatters are darker because the plant was
Some of my
harvested.
best shatters have been dark chocolate brown. Like I've got
Well,
some
yeah,
really
shatters
good
are
ones.
chocolate brown. They were probably made from trim.
Well, no, not chocolate brown, but a darker shade, like let's say a
darker is where you start to think about trim. So when you're looking at shatter that's darker,
Oh, no, this is all from a dispensary, so I don't think the dispensary
that doesn't matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's still THC. It's still real THC.
So
It's
tons
you
of
know what I
bitches
mean?
are
It's
ripping us
awesome.
off no matter what.
Yeah, and then you got the shatter you make from buds, from good high quality bud, and that's usually much nicer in color, much more fragrant.
Don't you
Because
think
there's
that as a grower
Yep.
who supplies a dispensary, okay?
Yep.
And I know you have integrity, but others don't.
That's right.
Do you think that they keep the good buds and they pass on whatever they feel like passing on? Like
Yeah, a company that you deal with, like one of these bigger ones over there, I don't remember the names off the top of my head, but some of the ones that I saw, I could definitely see them doing one process with part of the plant as a bargain product and then a premium product with the buds. I could see
they do
things
that
like
already. Small
for
bud,
sure.
big bud. They've already
Yeah,
started doing that.
I could see premium products being made out of bud, and then run of the mill product being made out of, or more affordable product being made out of trim. But there's money involved, right? So when money's involved, unfortunately, a lot of ethics go out the window for people, and anybody who's putting that product on the market could be combining their runs, could be putting trim and bud, could be doing just bud, just trim. Because if you're not making it, if you haven't seen it enough times to know the subtle differences, then it's really hard to make the call, right? So it's the only reason that I even know things like this is because I've done it so many times and seen the results so many times that I can. But somebody who's going to buy a gram of shatter every week or every couple of weeks doesn't have the advantage I do. You know what I mean? Plus, you're never going to see it until you get it home most of the time. Let's in a glass jar and you can have a look. But
let me do these commercials, get them out of the way. Can you guys type something over there in the chat? It hasn't moved in like an hour. I don't even know if we're even on live anymore. I'm like, hello. Anyway, I am having a fantastic time hanging out with you, Dr. High. I am learning so much. We got to do these commercials. We got to do a 420 over there in the UK, and we'll be right back. You're hanging with the Hippie and Dr. High on WTHC Radio on Live 365 and TuneIn. And right now we're on Facebook and YouTube.
Hey, it's me, Mrs. Hippie. Check
Thank
out
you, guys.
Vern on TikTok.
What's up, Jerry? How are you?
She's amazing.
Alrisha, how are
and
you?
Everything she makes on TikTok, she sells.
Thank you, Curly Kel and Brandy.
At Etsy. So you can watch her make it, and she'll make personalized
I just
stuff.
like
so
the
if you have
chat
an
didn't
idea,
move for a while. I'm like,
this thing
holy
made,
shit.
She can make it. She can make anything.
Well,
She's
thank
an
you,
incredible
Becky.
artist.
We love
Check
you.
her out.
Mario.
You have me hooked on TikTok, and you have
Harry,
me hooked free on
are you
Etsy.
sure?
Badger heart
Is Brandy shooting at us, or are those supposed to be buttholes?
Badger heart puppetry. I don't know what they are. Suns, black hole suns.
Bullets or buttholes? What is it?
Soundgarden.
1535.
Jeff is still here. All right, Jeff. Thank you, buddy. Jeff, as we were asking him before, did you hear us before, Jeff? We asked about, did you take more of the medicine? Thank you,
Yeah, I want
Linda.
to know how your RSO went yesterday. If you increased your dose, or you had a look at it.
Facebook at Badger Heart Puppetry. He also makes LARPing items.
Oh, their son's on Facebook, but they're waving hands on
Hey, Dad,
YouTube.
your prescription will be ready in just a
Oh,
minute.
that's how people wave.
Dad,
I
your laundry
guess.
will be ready in just a minute.
I don't know. I never wave. I usually do this.
In just a minute.
One or the other.
Why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one,
I know who
give
you
them
are.
as much time
That
as you
is
can,
Brandy.
making sure they're safe. And
Brandy and Alrisha are the same person, yeah.
Oh, an alias.
At AARP,
Yeah, well, that's
we can
her
help with
her
information and
alias
useful tips on how
on
you can maintain
on
a
YouTube.
healthy life balance. Care for
Well,
your own
I too once operated under an alias, so I understand that.
I'm under an alias. My name is not Da.Hippie.
provide for your loved
I am no longer under an alias.
Thank you.
I am me.
Yes, you are. You're DoktorHigh.
Well, yeah, but I'm still me.
Support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement.
If you're a member of our Discord, Matthew, our friend Matthew, is so kind to share out that Muck Sticky's Discord page. So if you're interested in joining Muck Sticky's Discord page, it's in the back room on our Discord. You can jump in, join, be a member of Muck Sticky's family as well. Speaking of Muck Sticky, he'll be our next song over here. They didn't take it down, so I think we're good with Muck Sticky songs.
Facebook cuts your music, but does YouTube?
There he is, Marcel. How are you, buddy? How you feeling? He's the one. Wee woo, wee woo.
Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this
MTT.
weekend?
3 names. How do you even keep track?
Forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
WTHC, you know what time it is. It's time. Happy 420 to my main man, Raggy, working his ass off over there in the UK, and everybody else celebrating. Here's some Muck Sticky with Smoke.
Let's smoke some pot, smoke some pot, smoke some pot. Come on, everybody, let's smoke some pot, smoke some pot, smoke some pot. Come on, everybody, let's smoke. Well, come on, everybody, let's smoke some pot, because you know that I got a big bag and I want to get you higher. So let me bum a paper and I'll roll the fucking
WTHC, we're back with Dr. High and the Hippie. That was Muck Sticky with Smoke. Smoke, that's one of my favorites by him. But Smoke, because the government is wrong and we are right. I just love it. Anyway, Dr. High, what got you into 420 lifestyle? Asks Lori. Well,
into the 420 lifestyle, it was my doctor's son that got me into the 420 lifestyle back when I was 11 years old. So that was the original thing.
Yeah, it was my best friend, and we went down by the pond. That's what got me into it. We
That's where it started for me. But I really never looked back. Like, I mean, I seem to remember kind of very quickly after my introduction to cannabis, really becoming a very regular user, as much as we could be back then. It was the late 70s. But there was a kid in my neighborhood that always seemed to be in the game right from jump. So had access and just loved it.
Oh, she means the teaching part of it, the rest of it going on to what you're doing.
Okay, from there. So I was involved in the cannabis game quite seriously, and I got into a bit of trouble over there in America, and I ended up doing some time in the federal system in the States. Pretty long time, actually. And when I came out, I wanted to still be involved in the industry, but I couldn't be involved in that side of it, right? In the distribution and cultivation side and in the business side of it, because that wasn't any good. So I got into the accessories, selling the accessories, pipes, bongs, rolling papers, roach clips.
Tobacco items.
Tobacco items, yeah, back then. And the company that I worked for had been in business for a long time in Canada. He was a bit of a rebel, the owner. He had started that business in 1980 and had fought the authorities all the way through and maintained and had a pretty good wholesale going on. They also sold cultivation supplies, and they sold extraction equipment, closed loop systems, things like that, industrial trimmers. And because I was the English sales representative, because I lived in Quebec, which is a French province, I dealt with all the stores outside of Quebec that bought their product from us. So through that process, I started to learn a lot more. I was really passionate about and understood the cultivation, and I have been involved in the distribution side of it. But I didn't understand concentrates. Hash I did, but there was really no distillate and no shatter and all this stuff 7 or 8 years ago.
Stay hydrated, Dr. High. If you need a drink, take a drink.
Yeah. So from there, so I had to learn a lot to do my job properly, because my job was to make sure the stores got product that they could pass on to their customers, and the customers had a good experience so that they would remain loyal to the store, and that those stores would remain loyal to us, right? So the better job you do for your customer, the better customer you have, ultimately. So from there, also that store had a retail section upstairs, and they had about 200 legal medical growers in Canada who were customers there. And I just started to get to know people and learn more and more about it and become more involved. And then an opportunity came up to work with somebody who had access to doctors who were able to prescribe cannabis in Canada, all done through telemedicine. And I was able to work as an intermediary between the doctors and the people looking to get cannabis as a medication legally be prescribed. So I worked with close to 100 people there, working them through the process. So I basically was a cannabis coach, helped prepare their care plans for them, help them navigate the doctor's visits, how to speak with the doctors, and interpret what the doctors were saying back to them so that they could actually put it into practical use. So that's really how that started, that side of it. And then I went to go work in the legal industry in Canada. Before, where I was working was kind of legal, but it wasn't actual cultivation. We couldn't do that here until 2018. And by 2019, I was working in a $40 million licensed cannabis production facility. And I held several positions there in cultivation, genetics, and my final position with them was a packaging and inventory supervisor. I held that job for several years, and then my family had a business for a long time that required me to come and help out at one point. So I came to Ontario. I left the cannabis industry, came to Ontario, and when the season was over, I had the winters off. It's a summer business my family has. I had the winters off. So last October, I decided it was time, because I really wasn't into the swimming pool business. I decided it was time to really follow my passion and put things together to help educate people. Like, I'm not trying to educate people who are very knowledgeable about cannabis. This isn't really education for the cannabis intellectuals and the people who are really knowledgeable. Really, what I wanted to do was kind of be a bridge between people who knew very little or had smoked cannabis but had done it on the sly for a long time and had never really looked at the science of it. And now, as they're getting older, they're starting to have medical conditions for which cannabis can be beneficial. So I really wanted to start to put together all the scientific facts and evidence supporting it from different trials that were done and doctor observation, and put those into little packages specifically designed to educate somebody with a particular medical condition, whether it's Parkinson's or epilepsy or Alzheimer's or Tourette's or 24 different ones at this point, just so that they don't have to go out and spend $30 on a book that may have 1 page or 2 pages about their specific situation, right? It may talk about medical cannabis all the way through the book, but it may not address their particular.
Right. It'll be, one subset of one little.
Yeah, if it's even mentioned at all, right? Because most people on medical cannabis focus on some of the real major ones.
That's why you're a genius, because now they can go to Amazon. Oh, right, Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. Yeah.
You can go to Amazon and you can get his book. So if you have somebody in your family who suffers from, let's say, seizures or Tourette's or something to the, I don't want to mention all the names because I don't remember all the different ones. Yeah, there's 24 different ones right now, and he's got 6 more on the hold right now. But and it's just amazing, and you're going to be able to go. So I have a family member who has epilepsy, and has seizures. And I'm a young family. My child just diagnosed with epilepsy, and so now this is new to me. Now I can go to Dr. High's page and find it right here. No, that says Bella's Badass Crystals. You want to go there today? It's 2 for Tuesday. But any other day, you can go to DoktorHigh.com, DOKTOR, Dr. High. I can get it over here. Hold on, give me a second. DoktorHigh.com. There it is. And you can go there and you can get the information you need, and you can go on to go get his books on Amazon and find out all the information. Dr. High, I have a question about your dispensary, sir.
Yep.
Mississippi and I were talking immensely again about it because we're definitely interested in investing. Not quite yet because finances are just not there yet, but hopefully in the very near future. But what I wanted to ask is, if I were to make a purchase, is there a limit on size? Like, so can I buy an eighth and be all right with it? Or do I have to buy like a pound of it?
No, it actually, you can buy pre-rolls, or it comes in eighths, 3.5. That's the packaging size.
So no bigger.
Nothing larger at this time, no.
But you can get an ounce if I want. It just has to be.
Well, you can buy 8/8. No problem.
Right. I just have to buy 8/8.
You just have to.
So you guys are gonna have to work on your math, but you can go right to his dispensary and pick it up. I'm gonna look into it. And your prices, you said, are comparable to my area. So,
well, from what I'm seeing, since I started looking at the websites in your area, and that it seems like it's not out of line,
right
in the States,
and
right?
and oh, by the way, I saw more news on it, but it wasn't very good news on the Pennsylvania bill. They said, yeah, it looks good, yada yada yada, bullshit, but in the long run, there's only one Republican who's really supporting it, and it's going to be a battle in the Senate and in the House or whatever. So it'll probably not pass again, even though every point they make in the whole thing, their bills, makes 100% sense.
Yeah. There's still opposition, and you have to remember, like, people involved in large scale illegal drug operations.
Hold on, Becky wants to know. Becky wants to, his dispensary is located online. You can go right here to DoktorHigh.com, and it ships to anywhere in the United States.
Yeah.
Even if your state is illegal,
ships to Guam, ships to Puerto Rico.
Guam, if you have family in Guam.
Yeah. So I'm just saying.
No, you never know. Somebody might be listening from Guam. Welcome in all of our friends and family from Guam. Thank you for
being here. What makes these products better than some of the ones you'll find at your local dispensary, because the edibles that you're able to get, if you're able to get them, the beverages that you're able to get, if you're able to get them, are all done with nano-emulsified cannabinoids, which means your body does take them up very, very easily, and you will feel the effects. We even have cake and brownie mixes, fried chicken batter, a lot of different things that are infused.
At that dispensary?
Yep. Yeah, like
do you have like candy bars and stuff? Now you also have that other stuff, the mushroom stuff, right?
But we have all the mushrooms.
I want to talk a little more about that, because I'm very interested in getting in on a what do they call it, microdosing on a regular basis.
We don't have psilocybin. There's no psilocybin.
Right, you said it was those red ones, right?
Yeah, we do have the Amanita muscaria, but we don't have psilocybin.
Gummies. That's her question.
Yep, we have gummies. Absolutely, we do. Nano-emulsified gummies. A couple of different brands, some celebrity brand there. And
my dispensary has Mike Tyson there. Did you hear about the Mike Tyson brand out now, Dr. High?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's a part of it in Pennsylvania. He's actually a part owner of Columbia Care or something to that effect.
Yeah. Well, you're going to see some, because I think the NBA has made it now that athletes can invest in cannabis companies. I think a couple of the professional sports associations.
A couple years ago, well, it's probably only about a year ago, but a year ago, when I was part of my original radio station, WEED, which, by the way, I still own, jerks. But anyway, when I was a part of that, they lied to me in Hobbies, and they made us look like asses. They said, oh, we think we got Ricky Williams on tonight or tomorrow night. He's coming on with you guys. It's going to be great. And Ricky Williams had a whole big strain out. And shout out to Ricky Williams. If you're ready, I'm ready. Come on over and check us out. We would love to have you on, right, Dr. High? Dr. High Ricky Williams has a whole strain out, and it was very exciting news. And then unfortunately he ended up canceling that night. And I felt like they made me and Hobbies just look like an ass. But anyway, long story short, that being said, Mike Tyson's, so they had a big poster, and every time I turned my head the one way behind me, freaking Mike Tyson would scare the shit out of me in the dispensary. I was like, damn.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you a secret. The girl said the shit sucks.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she said it
well,
wasn't. She didn't find it to be that good.
Right.
I really don't know. Yeah, I think he's part of one of the company's growing companies, like I think she said that it's their grower for their company. So it's whatever their company.
There's so many factors that affect the harvest that to replicate the same strain to the same numbers time after time after time is really unusual.
Impossible.
Even the difference between a summer harvest and a winter harvest indoors is a whole different ball game, right? And like we said before, if you give the same cut, if you take one single mother plant and you cut 100 good clones from it, and you give it to 100 growers, and you test 100 samples, there will be variation. Because everybody has a different environment, a different technique, a different feeding regimen. So,
Right. Becky asks, yeah, you see that?
She wants to know what the strength is. They're 10 milligrams a dose.
So how many
per unit?
She's got some severe back pain.
Well, these are nano-emulsified. So the beauty of them is they hit rapidly. They hit you in the same 10 or 15 minutes it takes to really ingest from a joint, and they're long-lasting because as they go through your intestinal system and that, there's still continued absorption, right? So
they stick to
they have initial absorption rate, and then you have a longer-lasting delivery. So they're quite effective, and it's really basically because of the technology that's being used. Nano-emulsified, water-soluble cannabinoids are the easiest thing for your body to uptake. If you go to the dispensary and you get a 10 milligram gummy, your body is probably processing through 8 milligrams or more are being wasted, are going to your waste. They're not actually being absorbed by your body. With nano-emulsified cannabinoids,
made
of that same 10 milligrams, your body's going to be absorbing anywhere from 9.5 milligrams to 9.9 milligrams. So the same dose made in a cannabis edible that's made with oil is nowhere near the equivalent of the same dose in a nano-emulsified water-soluble cannabinoid preparation. So
can I interrupt you for a second? Nano-emulsified, is that the stuff that Little Boxes and us are going to talk about on Thursday?
Yep. She says that she has a process for making water-soluble cannabinoid products at home. Now, as far as I know, the only way that these can be made are with using a suffocant and high-frequency device that cavitates it's a technical process, but basically what it does, it vibrates at such a high frequency that it fires off bubbles inside the liquid where the cannabinoids in the water are. And those bubbles burst, they collapse. And as they collapse, it causes the molecules of THC and CBD and all the other cannabinoids to be broken into smaller and smaller and smaller particles, to the point that if you take one molecule in oil, that'll be the equivalent to 4,500 molecules in water. So the surface area is so much smaller that your body can absorb it all. You know what I mean? So that's the difference.
See, now when I heard Hobbies, when we first met her, she said, "Yeah, my liver thing, it doesn't do whatever. They break down the enzymes or whatever." Yeah. So she was like, "Yeah, I've heard of this." And she goes, "You need this." And I was like, "Oh, awesome." And she's like, "I'm going to give you some." And I'm like, "Oh, even better." And so I'm like, "I need an indica." And she's like, "Oh, I don't have indica right now. I haven't even started on a new indica batch yet." And so I've been waiting patiently. And, I almost forgot about it until we talked about it the other day. And then she came in and I was like, oh, my goodness, yes, this is all coming back together. So there's a possibility that I will be getting some of that in the near future in a
curious
indica form. But then you're going to have to teach me how to use it, because I don't even know what to do from there. Like,
I'll have to understand what it is. And I suppose after Thursday I will.
I mean, I'll snort it if I gotta.
I suppose on Thursday I'll understand what it is and how.
Hopefully she's going to explain it all to us. I'm going to bring her right in with your invite at the same time. She'll be here the whole show.
Yeah, I'm
not going to do that whole let's talk for 5 minutes and then we'll bring her in, make her sit out in the lobby. I won't do that. We'll bring her right in. We'll start the show. We'll kick some ass and we'll talk all about it, because I'm interested. Because and you tell me, you say, I think I've heard you say that if you take a good a good edible, it'll last longer. Is that true? Like your high will last longer? See,
Yeah.
this is another reason why I'm interested. So if I can get a good, strong edible in the morning and take it, but does an edible, an indica edible, make you more tired?
Well, once again, it's going to depend on what terpenes are present, right?
All right. Well,
because that's what shapes the high.
Now,
THC determines the level of high, and terpenes determine the shape of the high. So
I wonder,
or some cannabinoids too, like CBN.
I'm not sure. And well, I guess you can't really add terpenes, right? It comes from the plant that she's using.
You can add terpenes.
She could. So, like, and I don't know if she's able to do this or whatever. This is just all imaginary. But if she said, "Oh, yes, I could do this," I could say, "All right, these are the terpenes I want to add to this," and she should be able to do that. I mean, if the world was perfect and everything was able to do, I mean, she's only in a medical state, she's not, so it's not, the world is not perfect. But I mean, ideally, if I wanted to create my own strain, I guess you would call it, of an indica, she could do that. Like, I could make it taste like lime, or I can make it taste like, or put more add myrcene to it to make it more sleepy time. And
that's really what I believe is possible. I believe that any cannabis grown in nature can be replicated in the lab.
Can you tell me I'm a genius?
All natural products.
Just say, Hippie, you're a genius.
Hippie. You're a genius.
Thank you.
So I believe that the replication can be done with the right analysis of the live plant.
Right. I'm seeing here, and I'm like, you're telling us that we could add terpenes to things to make them taste better, and then
not to taste better,
like,
but perform specific actions.
Right. So she's making this powder, and now it's got whatever it came with the plant, right? I mean, it's going to come with whatever already in the plant. So it could be let's just call it a Bubba Kush. All right. Or whatever, that's the plant that, an indica plant that she took. Then we could add more to it to give me that little bit of sativa, or a little more energy, or a little more,
depends on your starting point.
Depending on what I need, right, Dr. High?
Yeah, but you could start with distillate, the purest distillate you could find, and then you could custom make a sativa or an indica.
Right now.
Yeah. Right now.
So then I'm not a genius, you liar.
Well, people don't do it, but you could. You could.
Hashtag.
This is the whole thing. It can be done, and it can be done quite easily.
Hashtag not a genius, Hippie.
All these preparations can be made and nano-emulsified to target specific things if somebody takes the time or has the money and the wherewithal to do it. That's the whole thing, right? Because that would cost money. I would be doing it. If I could do it, I would be doing it. But it would cost millions of dollars to set up a lab and go that way. So if any of you out there paying attention to us have millions of dollars and are interested in doing something very innovative in the cannabis space, change the game, you let me know, because I have a plan.
Quiet. Contact Hippie, and I'll let him know.
Contact Hippie. That's right.
Contact Hippie, and then I'll let him know, because I gotta I gotta be in on this shit, even if I'm a puppet, bro.
Man, we make you the logo.
I'll be the logo. Yeah, there you go.
The logo. So Becky says, and how are they made? I don't know what you mean by that, but what
the gummies, I guess the gummies are they gluten-free
cannabinoid company in the U.S. They manufacture most of the celebrity branded products out there, and they're white labeled for these celebrities. It's really the biggest producer of hemp in the United States and manufacturer of this type of products. I don't make the products. I'm a distributor of the products. So I'm just like any store that obtains product from one source and sells it out, except I only sell product that's done by one company. Yeah.
Dr. High, question.
Yeah.
What does your afternoon look like? I mean, are you going to be here for a while? I got to do a commercial, and then I just wanted to say, we're going to be here another hour or another 40 minutes.
I don't think an hour, but I think we go for another half an hour from now.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to do a commercial. Get your questions going over there in the chat. I want to thank everybody over here on Facebook and YouTube. You guys are amazing. And, of course, everybody out there on Live 365 and TuneIn, thank you so much. We are on the radio all day. We start at 8 in the morning, and we go till 4:30 in the afternoon every Monday through Friday. And on the weekends, I do the shows as well. I just get up a little later. I'm sleepy on the weekends. I start around 10 or 9 or 11 or 12 sometimes, depending on my mood. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I love you all. Thank you, Dr. High, for everything. We'll be right back. You're listening to WTHC.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're going to go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you going to do? You're going to go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You got to dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't.
Turn the commercials down. I forget.
That's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry.
Quiet on the set. Quiet on the set.
Meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Say bye-bye to bottled water. Holistic Health Water has certified medical-grade water ionizers that make 7 types of water, including healthy alcohol. There's a filter that lasts up to a year, and each machine lasts 25 to 30 years. Simply attach to your faucet or install under your sink. Even get a mineral spa unit for your shower. Go to ownyourwater.org to get a free ebook. Plus, pay for any machine in full and get an extra filter free. Change your water and change your life. Ownyourwater.org.
Hey, hippie, look at this beautiful crystal sphere I got from Bella's Badass Crystals.
Look at this big vagina I got.
OMG, hippie.
It doubles as a worry stone.
Bella's Crystals is on the top of the mountain in Dauphin, PA.
You can also check out their sales. They have mini Mondays and twice-a-day Tuesdays.
Find Bella's Badass Crystals on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
They are badass.
WTHC, we're back hanging with Dr. High and the Hippie here with WTHC Radio. You can find us on Live 365 and or tune in all morning and day long. Dr. High, what's up, my man?
Oh, I just absorbed. I just got a notification. I checked it, and my boys, the Tea Party, just announced a tour.
That's where the Tea Party. I found that in my chat. I mean, in my songs, and I'm like, where did I get this Tea Party from?
Yeah, they're going to do a cross-Canada tour with I Mother Earth.
I Mother Earth and the Tea Party.
Yeah, the Tea Party.
The Tea Party and I Mother. That's cool.
I was just looking at
cross
where
country up there in Canada or cross country down here in the United
Canada.
States.
Cross Canada tour. They're both Canadian bands, eh? So,
I
know. It just comes out sometimes. They can't help
don't
it.
even recognize it.
Yeah, it just flows.
All right. So what do you want to talk about now? I mean, I'm going to do another one of them syringes right after the show. I would say I did more than rice, but less than, less than 2 rices.
Less than 2 rices. Are they called Reese? Are they Reese?
Reeses, yes. More than 1 rice is a Reese. Yes. I did 2 Reeses.
Oh, that one. We're not
Santa
sure.
is that? I heard noises.
So the next thing, you know what you got to do, Hippie? The next thing you got to try, you should take one of those distillate syringes because you got 4 of them, right?
Yeah, I realize they're half grams though, 4 half grams.
Okay, so why don't we make you
now we're talking.
Something for your cartridge.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, because I don't have one of these carts that I can take apart yet, right? I mean, none of these ones from the dispensary are take apartable, unless you mean for my vape.
And your other no, everyone from the dispensary should come apart.
These you're talking about should unscrew.
Yeah, they had to fill them somehow. Should unscrew at the mouthpiece.
I never really tried, but I'll look after I finish it.
That'd be my guess.
Okay,
and then we need to get you online to look at a place called the Terpene Store out of Florida. And you can simply go in there and you can pick your favorite strain, whatever your absolute favorite strain of cannabis.
Kosher Tangy.
Well, really? You like the Tangy? My wife says we're never allowed to have Tangy in the house again.
Why?
Oh, because I had about 50 pounds of it in my house for a very long time. And every time you walk through the door, all you could smell was that gassy, citrusy
smell, the flavor. The flavor is just so beautiful. It's so flavorful.
To tell you the truth, it gives me a bit of the willies too, remembering that smell.
Well, if you overdo it, I can understand. That's like anything. I have the willies every time I look at a bottle of Sambuca now, yeah. I fucking drank like 3 bottles of it in one night, man. I was like,
I wouldn't be surprised if you
I was
could
throwing up
find
licorice
kosher
too.
Tangy. Oh, I bet. Kosher Tangy wouldn't surprise me. Find probably some kind of Tangy there anyway. But I think they have about 7. Last time I checked, I think they had about 700 different profiles. And what it is it's a small 1 milliliter vial of the cannabis terpene, of the terpenes that are in that strain of cannabis. So whatever the strain is you like, if they have that strain available, those would be the same terpenes they would have gotten from a test sample of that strain. Now you can simply take your 0.5 gram of distillate, squeeze it into the cart. But what I would use is that distillate's already in a better method. If there's room in the syringe, which there would be, I would simply put the terpenes into the syringe with the distillate, warm it up just a little bit, maybe to 120 degrees.
Mix it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Warm it up a little bit, like in some warm water on the stove. You know what I mean? Over the steam. Use the steam, and then mix them together, and then just squirt that whole concoction right into the cart.
And then add what?
Nothing. You'll be done.
Nothing.
Ready to go.
Smoke the shit out of it.
Distillate with your choice of terpenes, according to the strain.
The terpenes are just going to add the flavor and a little high, right?
Well, they're going to add the flavor, they're going to shape the high, and they're going to give you the medicinal benefit.
Now, would it add, like this is already a 93? Would that make it go up more to a 94 or 95?
Nope, won't change it at all. Because that's cannabinoids.
So why do I need
cannabinoids?
What's the reason for the terpenes? I mean, just flavor and
flavor.
shaping?
Because if you have a favorite strain that works for you,
right? I mean, yeah.
then
I mean,
you
overall,
can
I
make your
see why you
distillate-
do it.
Yeah, you can make your distillate into whatever you want.
but I don't want to wait. How long is it going to take from California to here? You know what I mean? Like,
No, you
I
just
could
order,
I could do it without it though, right?
Yeah, you could. But
Okay,
with the terpenes,
that was my question.
and if you order one little bottle for $10, that's going to last you for a year. You'll be able to flavor probably 20 grams of distillate with it.
Okay, all right.
You know what I mean? So it's not a one-time use. Like it's
Oh,
you can
okay.
keep it, and you can have multiple kinds. You know what I mean?
How do you keep terpenes? Do you have to keep them
Oh, they come in a little glass vial. You just,
refrigerated, or do you have?
just keep them in the dark. Keep the vial closed and keep them.
Yeah, because if I
Keep
put
them
them
in
in
the
my refrigerator, my kid will be eating terpenes because he eats everything out of the refrigerator.
They're pretty intense. We used to enjoy something we called terp champagne. So in Montreal, first guy I knew that was doing terpene extraction specifically from cannabis. Big process to do it. Probably more work than it's worth, but it was new and cutting edge at the time. This is probably 8 years ago. So he would move around with this little case full of vials of terpenes from the strains he had extracted, very, very specific. And he would take bottles of Perrier water and put them in the freezer to get them super, super cold, right? Not quite to freezing, but maybe 35 degrees or something.
Right.
But he'd crack them open and he'd use a dropper to put the terpenes from the strain inside the Perrier. He just closed up the lid, give it a little twist, and drink it, and it was like drinking fresh marijuana. It was the most intense flavor. Some of the ones I tried, I didn't like because it was just too intense. And then some of the other ones were really, really great. You know
My
what I mean?
question is, sir, did you catch a buzz off of it, or was it just staying hydrated, tasty kind of thing?
No, it was just the terpenes. There was no buzz.
Just
It
a
was
flavor.
just flavor.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It was drinking.
You were
essence.
smoking as well, I would assume, and drinking ice cold, frozen, ice cold water that tasted like weed.
The essence of cannabis. That's what we were consuming, basically,
That
right?
is, I mean, he's onto something, but he needs to figure out how to get it into the water previous so that we don't have to do it and just sell it as
Do you guys have the Vice channel down there?
yeah, I've
Vice
heard of it.
Network? Okay, so this guy was actually on the Vice Network.
Don't tell me he got busted.
No, actually, a whole circle of people that I dealt with were on the Vice Network because they did an episode called Vice Quebec, and it was about the cannabis industry in Montreal. And Hugo was on that show. Same with John Vergadas, who owns Skunk Magazine, and a few other people that I know. So
Very cool. Raggy's on his way home. Congratulations, Raggy. Get your ass
Read
home.
his
So you can
life.
get to the bong. He needs to get to
Man,
his bong.
I'm going to have to go out of the house today.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, for nicotine. Can you believe that?
Oh.
And for me, that's an hour trip.
Mrs. Hippie went for me yesterday and picked up the nicotine on her way home from work. I had to milk it all day yesterday, so I did a little more damage on my carts than I normally do.
Dead.
But
Both
but
my
it was worth
buds
it.
are dead.
Yeah, so both of my carts, I made it from Friday till today. What do you think of that? Not bad, right?
That's good.
A gram and a half, and since Friday.
5 days.
And
how much weed would you smoke during that time?
oh, probably in 5 days. I'm probably close to almost done with an ounce. I'm probably 3/4 of an ounce by then.
And what does an ounce cost you as opposed to what those carts cost you?
An ounce from the dispensary, probably $225, $250.
And those
The
carts cost
cart
you
costed
about
me
120, 130?
120, yeah, something like that.
So you saved money.
Maybe even a little less.
Yep.
I
you
saved money, and I still have a ton of carts left over here, and a ton of
just a
no. Tell her I said no. Absolutely, I can't wait to meet Darlene. I don't know if I'm going to be there. I'm a little nervous, but the hippie will be there.
Just got to make sure that she gets the toaster on for the waffles, right?
Right.
She had a problem with the waffles earlier.
Yes, we are having a 420 festival here in Pennsylvania.
Oh, nice.
At the end of this month, July
Oh,
25th.
those are fun.
July 25th, I think.
July
My wife
25th,
still tries to think that she's gonna get a booth for us there, but I'm thinking it's way too late. But she's trying still. But even if she doesn't, I'm just gonna go and walk around and have a great time. But if she gets a booth, then I'll be chilling at the booth.
You can probably get media credentials, bud, and get in for free.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I haven't really worked that system yet. I'm still trying to figure out this whole thing, dude.
Media
I am
credentials.
what? Yeah, no, like a press pass and shit.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah. But I want a booth so I can sit. But I don't even have the machine to play music, So my only machine is here. I would have to take my whole computer. They would have to have electricity. They would have to have Wi-Fi or whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you decide that Canada Globe's the path you want to take, that's a good little booth to have at an event like that.
Oh yeah, well yeah. No, I know Mississippi and I talked about that as well.
You know what I mean? Like that's an ideal place to.
But Mississippi's best friend is that guy Thomas that does the show with her from the Perfect Positivity Show.
Yeah,
and he's also the owner of OwnYourWater.org.
Yeah.
So he's definitely in. He's going to be a part of the booth. So it's going to be a water plus WTHC booth.
Yeah,
and then. I know Curly Kell keeps telling me she's coming down, so I'm going to get to meet Curly Kell for the first time. And I know there's a few other people in the PA area that may just be there because they live in the PA area.
Right.
But PA is a big ass state, man. It takes like 10 hours to get from one side to the other. So
yeah, it is.
Could even be.
I lived in a few places.
I never went that far.
I lived a couple places in PA.
Yes, I've heard. I've heard you enjoyed PA. Quite
well, I'm not going to go that far, but I lived there.
The view from PA.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Cannon? What is it called? Buchanan. That's my buddy was a
CO there.
Yeah,
nice.
Like you're talking a long time ago, right? You're talking 10 years ago or more.
I was in New Canaan probably in 2008, maybe 2009.
Yeah, you might know him because he's been here.
I was there.
Sure he moved here the same year as I did.
Opened it.
Yeah, he moved here the same year I moved here, around 2005 to Pennsylvania.
Yeah. See, in the States, when they open a new penitentiary, some of the correctional officers are experienced correctional officers already from inside the system, and a lot of them are inexperienced coming out of this training academy, right? Where they go to
military police, I think, was his.
Yeah, some of them were, but not all.
He was military.
I was good with a lot of them. I knew a lot of them. A lot of them were decent guys. I can say that much.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy overall. Hardworking.
These places, they don't want to put in, because penitentiaries, right? A lot of guys in the penitentiaries never going home. So there is very little consequences you can hold against them to prevent them from being violent, right? To stab guards, to stab other inmates, to do whatever. Right. So when they first open an institution, they like to open it with people who are not
minimum security.
Not minimum, but guys who are transitioning from the maximum security environment to a lower classification because they have that.
They're trying to behave themselves.
Right. You have a period of time. You've been in the Bureau of Prisons already. They're familiar with your, you know what I mean, with your behavior and the way you go. So they kind of use groups like that to break in the new joint, right, and break in the new corrections officers. So that's why I was in Canaan for just that one period of time while they got the place opened and started to populate. And
how many months would you say, or a year?
No, not quite a year there. Probably 8.
It's crazy how they move you guys around so much. I don't understand that. Like,
we always called it diesel therapy. right?
I don't know. Ride on
Especially
the
if you're
bus for 8 hours, 12 hours, bring you
well, if
across.
you're an asshole in the system, you can move a lot, right? If you're they don't tend to move you too much because the institutions like to stay fairly stable. So
Right.
you usually move
Depending on your
because-
attitude, they'll put
Well,
you
yeah,
where they
or there's a change in your security classification, right? As time goes by, your security classification drops.
Right.
So
if
you
you've been
become
there a
eligible
while
to
and
go-
you're behaving yourself, then
yeah, you might be eligible to go
put
to a
into the
low or
better-
to a camp or whatever it is, right?
If you're
I
a
never had
short
that
timer
opportunity.
or if you're a long timer, it all depends. Everything varies.
Yeah.
I know a decent amount. I watch a lot of Killing Your Wife shows and stuff. and I just trying to figure out how much time I'm going to get. And
Well, the funny thing was-
no. Are we on the air? No, I didn't say that.
There was no violence at all in what I was involved with.
No
Zero
violence.
violence, right? It was cannabis and money. That was the two big things. But I ended up with a super high security classification because of the money, right? And because of the way that the money was being laundered, right? Through
Well,
the
probably because of other people you may have laundered, or somebody may have had bad
you see
feelings
that,
towards
now you're
you
nailing it.
and
You're
your
nailing it on the head, right? Because our money went out into the Middle East, was laundered in Israel, and came back through other countries, through New York. And
Wait a second. Are we
and-
safe talking about this on the air?
No.
here?
Oh, this is a long time ago, and it's all a matter of record, right?
History.
Yeah, it's already been disputed, so there's nothing to, it's over with. But
As long
yeah,
as you
but
say we're safe, I'm gonna believe you.
Oh, yeah,
If
no,
the FBI
this is-
comes knocking at my door, I
Hey,
don't know your address.
you want to hear something so funny? It scared the shit out of me, but it's kind of funny in hindsight. I had been home for a couple of years, living quietly, back with my family and kids. You know what I mean? Like we were getting our shit back together, our lives back together. And there's a knock at the door one day. And I think one of my kids grabs the door and they said, "Dad, there's somebody here to see you." So I go downstairs and it's two ladies and they pull out the RCMP badge. They're RCMP officers. And I'm like, "Oh, what are you guys doing here to see me?" Like, it's been a while and I've done my time, because they were part of the original arrests, right? In cooperation with the FBI. And so they said, "No, we need to speak with you. Can we come in? You're not in any trouble or anything." So I'm like, "Okay, whatever." I wasn't worried about it because I knew that I'd been straight, you know what I mean? It wasn't in no kind of bullshit or anything.
Behaving yourself, you knew you
Yeah,
were
so I wasn't worried about it. So they come in, and it turns out that they needed my signature on some documents because they wanted to destroy the evidence from my case. They were done with it, and it had to go to destruction, but there were some like mortgage documents and
Did they destroy all the weed?
and certificate. Well, no, I'll tell you about that. I got it all back from them. I got it all back from them, and this is kind of crazy, but I'll tell you about it.
What?
So, yeah, it's wild. But so I signed these papers, and they said, "Oh, by the way, we have a check for you also." And I said, "You have a check for me? What do you mean you have a check for me?" She said, "Well, we don't know what it comes from, but apparently it was money that was taken from you when you were arrested. And it's been sitting in a bank account in Ottawa. And this is 16 years after my arrest. 16 fucking years later. And they're telling me they got this money. It's been sitting in an account. So I have to go to the police station to pick it up. So I go down to the RCMP station, and sure enough, they got a check there for me for over $3,000. And it was a proceed from crime. Because all my money was a proceed from crime back then, everything I earned. Right. So pretty crazy that they gave it back to me all those years later. But now you're surprised they gave me weed back.
Yeah.
So the day I got busted, I had 12 pounds of weed in my freezer. 12 pounds.
At your home?
At my home. And so when the cops are taking me away, they're like, you got drugs in the house? And I'm like, well, I got some weed. You know what I mean? That's it, though. Just a little bit of weed, my personal weed. Because I always kept all my shit kind of buried right there. So we're at the police station, and eventually, after 5 or 6 hours, the fingerprint, photograph, try and get us to fucking talk, then they let us go with a promise to appear in court. So that we get a promise to appear and we're released. So I get out onto the sidewalk, and my wife is there. because they've arrested her too at this point in time.
Well, of course.
Yeah, you know, they didn't never charge her or anything, but they arrested her that day also. And
what about your kids? How old were they?
Oh, my son was probably a year and a half. My daughter 4, so it was pretty brutal. But yeah, so I come out to the sidewalk. My wife's looking at me. She's like, "I can't believe they're letting you go." And I'm like, "Yeah, me neither. Let's get the fuck out of here." You know what I mean?
Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I go home,
country,
and I go home and I go directly to the freezer and open it up and I go through it and everything is still there. They didn't find none of it. And I go upstairs to where I kept my smoking weed, right? Because I'd always keep an ounce out to smoke. And I had coffee grinders. I had a coffee grinder upstairs and a coffee grinder downstairs in my home theater where I did all my rolling, right? I was out in the living room or in the home theater.
Sure.
So the coffee grinders were gone. The weed that was in the kitchen cupboard was gone. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So fast forward 6 months. They're contacting me and they're saying, listen, you can come down to the station and pick up your possessions that aren't going to be held as evidence. Right? So I go down there and
you don't think that this is a trap? Like they're suckering me into coming back down there and they're going to arrest me again?
No, I got a really high quality lawyer at this time, probably one of the best in Montreal, and I'm not worried about what's going on because it's all being coordinated right through him.
This is normal. Go ahead. You're good.
Yeah. So I go, and they got a whole inventory sheet of stuff that they're giving me back. So they give me a copy of it so I can check off the stuff they're giving me back. Because after 6 months, you forget about some things, right?
Sure.
So we're going through it, and they say, okay, that's it. And I said, well, there's still 2 items on here. And they said, well, what's that? And I said, you have 2 coffee grinders that belong to me. Coffee grinders? And he looks, and he says, oh, but those are full of marijuana. And I said, so what? It's just a little bit. It's coffee grinders. So the one cop looks at the other cop, and he says, what do you think? And the other cop says, I don't care.
I don't give a
So he
shit.
said, hold on. So he goes away, and he comes back, and when he comes back, he's got 2 sealed RCMP evidence bags, sealed with the red tape and the whole bit. Inside is a coffee grinder in each one. So I take the coffee grinders, I sign the paper, I go home. I cut open the coffee grinder bag. I open it up, still got the weed inside, still got all the trichrome in them. The other one, same thing. So they actually gave it back to me, which was kind of cool.
Everything. You ended up getting everything back.
Yeah.
Was there and you took the bags or you took the grinders out and the weed was still just in the grinders, you mean?
Still in the grinders.
Oh, okay. I thought you had like a big old bag and they forgot to take it out of the bag.
No.
Sack or ounce was in there too.
Only what was still in the grinders from the day they took them. You know what I mean? Like they never even dumped them out. So, yeah.
I'm going to tell you something, all right? I've had my experience with Canadian police. Here. Eh?
Yeah.
Suckers. We were DWI. We crashed into a wall. And they were like, all right, this is how you get home. Come on. And they just let us go. I was like, all right, dumbass. Dude on a horse.
Yeah, no doubt. It's changing a little bit, but through my experience, I have to say that they were, for the most part, gentlemen.
Yeah. Oh, everybody in Canada is like the nicest people in the world. That's my feeling.
For the most part, they were gentlemen.
Every time I went to Canada, except for that one girl who showed me her new poo nanny and then rolled away and said I couldn't have it. That was kind of rude. She offered it to me and then said I couldn't have it and rolled away. She was the only rude person I came across. Everybody else was amazing. We had the best time in Canada, in Montreal.
To tell you kind of how cool they really were, the day I was being extradited to the States, that I was going across the border, they come pick me up, 2 RCMP and an FBI agent. Pick me up from the county jail I'm in. Take me across the border. So we're driving and we're going to Plattsburgh, New York.
Uh-oh, hold on a second.
Yep.
Is this going to be a quick story or a long story? Because I got to do a commercial.
Only a couple minutes. What do you want to do?
Get that 420 song in too. You know, I got to try to get that time.
Do what you got to do.
Plattsburgh. Remember that, everybody. We're on our way to Plattsburgh. I've been there. I used to hang out in Plattsburgh. My dad's best friend one of his best friends was a race car driver, and he drove the crazy 8 there in Plattsburgh. He ended up dying in a crash. It was crazy. Yeah. I was like 5. Anyway, we'll be right back. Well, you're listening to WTHC with Da.Hippie and DoktorHigh.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
Sorry.
I got to tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love has no labels, and one small step are helping people with different political views, beliefs.
So, DoktorHigh, I'm going to take one of these carts apart right after this because my cart is just about empty.
So
and you're saying that that'll be good for just squirting the rest of that syringe right there into it.
They can break down boundaries.
It won't taste the best, but I can vape it. And it'll be a distillate.
You can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing.
I'm going to take your word for it.
It gives me a lot of hope too.
Take a step.
Is it going to burn differently? Is it going to be hard to burn?
The courage to start
to do the exact same thing as what's already in the cart.
One small step.
Yeah, but it's so much jellier, like creamier, you know, like thicker.
What, the distillate?
Some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s.
But so's the other oil until it's heated up by the coil.
I mean, they go back to college.
Yes, Kyle's back. He said he remembered everything about the first half, but then the second half I had to remind him
that one's not for everybody,
of the names. It was Myrcene and something else.
For the retirement savings, no matter your age.
CBN.
Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo.
Higher in Myrcene and higher in CBN. Okay, Kyle, buddy.
For sleep.
Your input that are
to help you with sleeping. Yep.
Work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
I gotta talk to my friends over at Calligraphy. I think they just signed with somebody last night. I seen a signing, a contract signing.
That's
nice.
Retirement.
I don't know if I'm allowed to play their music no more. They might be too cool for me.
Muck Sticky.
Badger Heart Puppetry. Badger Heart Muck Sticky won't. He refuses to sign with anybody. He says, I did it on my own. I don't need you. So I think they don't give me a hard time with him.
234-1535. He has all your puppet needs. He can fix puppets, build puppets, custom-made puppets. He has puppets off the rack for cheap.
Oh, Lori, wow, that was cool. I'm a little pissed that you weren't here listening to the show.
We're on TikTok or Facebook at Badger Heart Puppetry. He also makes LARPing items, too.
Hey, it's me, Mrs. Tidby. Check out Vern on TikTok at You Have Me Hooked. She's amazing. And everything she makes on TikTok, she sells at You Have Me Hooked 23 at Etsy. So you can watch her make
Becky,
it.
still here. Thank you, Becky.
Idea, like, I would like this thing made.
She got distracted.
She can make it. She can make anything.
Squirrel.
Check it out.
No, that's not good. That's making me hungry.
23 on Etsy.
WTHC, you know what time it is. It's time for my buddies Calligraphy and THC. Happy 420, everybody.
Hey, it's Bill Schmidt Jr., a.k.a. Billy Blaze, a.k.a. 420 Kid of the Holistic Cloud. R.I.P. to my man Derek Crawl. I want to give a shout out to Calligraphy. My dude Means, little homie Manuel Noriega, Big Just, Rossi, Jack the Apostle, the lead.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Big buzz till little crumbs broke up in the bottom. Feel like autumn leaves falling. Only problem needs solving is seeing who I'm calling for some trees to indulge in.
Well, thank you so much, Becky.
Billy, he keep his head in the cloud. Bel Air Kush by the bush. Wow. Screaming loud, still smoking, having nice dreams floating through space. So when they ask me how high, my reply, I'm half baked. Sir, smoke a lot. Doctor said I need a bacchiotomy. Prescribe me huckleberry and lemon cherry gelato, G. I take it back to rolling in the Optimo, blowing smoke out my nose, dropping ashes stitches on my clothes till I doze off. I'm so fried, no lie. Got you afraid of heights, scared to look down. You so high. Cause when I spit that shit, it's like I lit that shit in the crowd. Pass it around and let you hit that shit. Weed is all I need. Smoke that weed. Weed is all I breathe. Smoke that leaf. Brought up in the leaf for my relief. I'm in love with THC. Roll that shit, lick that shit, burn it. 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 Roll that shit, lick that shit.
Nice job, Kyle.
Roll that shit, lick that shit, burn it.
Got sunshine in my pocket on a Sunday stroll. Homie got the rap, give me the sack. Let the good times roll. Therapy, earth, body, and soul. World, give me beef, Bel Air Kush, give me mental control. L lit back roll, 5 hats told. The studio we roll, bring relief. We the musical, I need to know. Healthier than pill pop. Mother, give me herbs to fill spot. My medication, kid to a kill shot. Many strands, lay hands in stressful situations. Out of all the girls in my life, Mary Jane, a reservation. Hit 23, raise your hands in liberation. A celebration, history free from information. Stand up, provide the right education. Show love, holistic cloud, politics throughout the nation. Making us stop debating Billy Blunt, stash, flavor, taste the weed.
Weed is all I need. Smoke that weed. Weed is all I breathe. Broke down leaves. Brought up in the leaf for my relief. I'm in love with THC. Roll that shit, lick that shit, burn it. 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 Roll that shit, lick that shit, burn it.
Roll that shit, lick that shit, burn it. Roll that shit, lick that shit, burn it. Roll that shit,
lick that shit,
burn it. WTHC, that's them. That's Calligraphy with THC. I love that fucking song. I love it. Roll that shit, lick that shit, and burn it. Roll that shit, lick that shit, and burn it. I heard they got another song coming out. I'm very excited. They already told me they're going to give me the rights to play it. And I seen them signing a contract last night. I didn't get the whole details, but they might be going bigger. They might be getting bigger. Anyway, Dr. High, we were on our way to Plattsburgh last I heard.
In custody. On our way to Plattsburgh.
In jail without no bail.
Yeah. So they were taking me to the border, transfer me to the U.S. Marshals. And one of the RCMP asked me, he said, listen, this is going to be your last lunch in Canada for a while. Where do you want to eat? You can have anything you want. And I'm like, well, to tell you the truth, I don't feel all that great at the moment. I'm really not interested in eating. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you got an upset stomach, your belly's
stressed, you know what I mean?
You're like, what the fuck is going on?
I knew it. Well, no, I knew I was going for a while. I knew this wasn't a week in the summer, right? Like I was looking at
the whole situation overall. Your nerves are shot. You're losing hair. It's probably why you're bald. It's
Yeah, no, that was by choice. Still is by choice.
No. I'm talking about the receding parts here.
Oh, okay.
You can pretend all you want that they're not there, but we see.
So the cop tells me, he says, listen, there's a little diner up near the border. We're going to stop there for lunch. See whatever you want to do. So we get there, we get out of the car. I'm not in handcuffs or anything at this point.
Really? They're just like, come on in, buddy.
They haven't handcuffed me at all since the county jail. We walk into this restaurant. And sitting at a table is my wife and my kids.
Are you? Oh my God! Are you in gear? Like, are you in the robe, in the garb?
No, I'm in my regular street clothes.
You're in human clothes, okay?
Yeah, because in Canada it's a little bit different, right? There's not the orange suit. You don't start in the orange suits.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
still have your street clothes.
Your wife and kids are there.
Yeah, so they had notified them to be there if they wanted to see me before I got extradited to the States.
You're bringing tears to my eyes. Oh my God, that's amazing.
They told me, they said, you sit there with your family, you have a nice lunch. We're going to sit over here on the other side of the restaurant, and when we're done, we'll go. And we were probably there for, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half. They gave me with them before it was time to go. And we leave. We get to the border. On the other side of the border, I recognized the federal marshal picking me up. His name was Sergeant Joe Gaines. He was one of these guys who does the, on TV, they have that little wanted thing or your community watch or criminal watch or whatever. So he used to do all the ones over there in New York. And sure enough, here's this motherfucker waiting for me. And we get out of the car, and there's the 3 police officers and myself, but I'm still not handcuffed. So this Joe Gaines looks at us and he said, so who's the fucking criminal here? And nobody's handcuffed, right? He can't figure it out. He looks at me and he points and he says, you come here. I'm going to show you how we do it in America. Up on the box, ankle chains, waist chain, handcuffs.
If they do it like me, they take your head, they slam it upside the car real quick, make sure that you got some sense knocked into your head.
No, they didn't do that because they had Canadian cops sitting there at the same time. I guess they didn't want to show their ways. But yeah,
we're very close to that area. The sons of bitches, Lake Placid and Saranac Lake, mother truckers.
Yeah.
I remember you guys.
They were gentlemen. You know what I mean? All the way through, whenever I dealt with them, they were okay. They just had a job to do.
Yeah, but so they slam you and they put the cuffs on you. They shackle you. They got the ones on your legs.
Yep, they throw me in a van and they drive me to New Hampshire.
And then that's a whole different world. Welcome to America.
Yep. Yeah, and the second day I was there, that space shuttle exploded coming back over Texas.
With the one with the teacher on it and all that. The Christie.
No,
that's too old. That
was the first one. This was the second one. Challenger.
The Challenger. Yeah.
But the first one, really interesting. I was in Concord, New Hampshire. That's where my case was. And there are 2 federal judges in Concord, New Hampshire. One was named Barbadoro, and the other one was McCullough. And McCullough, the judge McCullough,
teacher,
was the husband of Krista McCullough, who had died. And this guy was a federal judge now.
Wow.
I didn't get him as a judge. I got the other one, but yeah.
Yeah, because that's her name. I remember we had jokes about her. I'm not going to say them now because when we were kids, we were rude.
So
anyway, you said 15 minutes. It's already been 40. So I think you probably need to go make lunch for Nurse High over there.
No, she has the day off today. I just need to go and get some of these because I'm nicotine deficient for the day.
Are you craving right now? Are you having withdrawals?
No, I'm not too bad. But I know I got a 40-minute drive to get there, so I'll be ready when I arrive.
Well, Dr. High, I want to thank you every day for coming in here. Everybody, you guys, say thank you. Clap it up for Dr. High. I can't hear you. Come on, louder. They're not listening.
I love hanging out. I enjoy it. I like answering everybody's questions. I love the interaction.
Yeah,
Thanks
I do too.
for hanging out with us today.
Numbers again were great. I went and I looked at our numbers from yesterday. A lot of people are watching it at a later point. It's getting better there as well. So we're starting to get a little bit of traction. We're starting to get a little traction. Thank you so much for everything, Dr. High.
Understand? You know what I mean?
Absolutely, I agree 100%. I am going to leave you with another Muck Sticky song, and we'll be signing off. This one's getting high. Muck Sticky. Here
See
we
you
go,
tomorrow, everybody. Have a great
back
day.
Tomorrow, 10 a.m. on the East Coast at 7. No, that's 9 Central, 8 Mountain, and 7 a.m. on the West Coast. Everybody, thank you so much. Thank you. Here we go with Muck Sticky. All right, Dr. High, peace. Thank you, guys. Much love.